Hello everybody, this is Kirby over yonder, and if you know me, then you would know that I am very claustrophobic. I hate enclosed spaces and things in general that just make me feel uncomfortable. And because of this, Squid's Visit is one of my least favorite episodes of SpongeBob. Now don't get me wrong, I love SpongeBob. I hold those first 3 seasons in higher regards than most other cartoons I've ever seen, but man did this show dip in quality in its later seasons. So I guess it's time to review one of my absolute least favorite episodes, Squid's Visit. First, there's a scene with Mr. Krabs talking to Squidward. It has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the episode, is incredibly boring, and I have no idea why it's here. It's actually very out of place, especially considering the fact that Mr. Krabs isn't even in the rest of this episode. Then we get SpongeBob talking to Squidward. Again, this scene is both boring and pointless. Then SpongeBob asks Squidward if he would like to come over to his house, in which he says no. So our good old likable protagonist SpongeBob keeps whining about it for like 20 seconds. We get 20 seconds of just SpongeBob crying, and it's so annoying. SpongeBob crying is one of the most annoying sounds I've ever heard. Eventually, we cut back to the Krusty Krab, where, yet again, Squidward rejects his visit to SpongeBob's house. What's the point of the scene? I have no idea. I thought it was already established that Squidward didn't want to go to SpongeBob's house. But we still got this scene. Then we cut to SpongeBob's house, where he and Patrick are doing a puzzle, and SpongeBob explains the situation to Patrick. He then says to get Squidward to come over to his house, he has to steal something of Squidward's, or whoops, I mean borrow something of Squidward's. Really, guys? How could you mess up this badly? In Teen the Treedom, when Patrick gave SpongeBob bad advice, it didn't feel like he was intentionally giving SpongeBob bad advice just for the harm of others. It actually felt genuine, like he actually thinks that this is a good idea, but it's just not. He's just kind of an idiot. But in this episode, it feels like Patrick just gave SpongeBob that advice just because, well, the world hates Squidward. Then nothing happens for a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of a theme with this episode. And Squidward realizes that SpongeBob wrote a note telling him that he stole his vacuum cleaner. Squidward calls SpongeBob to tell him that he'll be over to take his vacuum cleaner back in about 20 minutes, and this is one of the most awkward scenes in SpongeBob history. I don't know why, but something about this phone call scene just feels uncomfortable. Maybe it just feels like SpongeBob just has, well, other plans for Squidward, to say the least. In the Gumball episode The Awkwardness, this kind of, well, awkwardness worked because they actually made jokes around how awkward and uncomfortable both of the characters are. That episode was actually funny and somewhat relatable, but this isn't either of those. Then SpongeBob starts breathing deeply into the phone. Why? I have no idea. It feels very out of place and unnecessary. Maybe it's to build up how much of a creepy stalker he is, but other than that, I have no idea. Squidward then leaves his casserole in the oven to go to SpongeBob's house. Trust me, this will be important later. Squidward gets to SpongeBob's house and realizes that it's an exact replica of his house. So, writers, you're telling me that SpongeBob is so creepy, so messed up, that he's able to memorize every single little thing in Squidward's house. Yeah, he doesn't just memorize the simple basics, he gets everything correct. Every single little thing perfectly correct. Stock Bob Creeper Pants tells Squidward that he'll go find his vacuum and to just sit down, and he tells him this in the creepiest way possible. Squidward realizes how creepy this all is with creepy music playing in the background. And just in case you're wondering, no, this isn't a clever horror-centered episode like Wander Over Yonder's The Heebie-Jeebies. This episode is just uncomfortable for the sake of being uncomfortable. So Squidward tells SpongeBob that he's going to look for his vacuum, and we get more Squidward being afraid and really creepy music. Squidward checks out the bathroom when SpongeBob comes in. Hijinks ensue, which leads Squidward to fall in the toilet, because the writers can't go 5 seconds without Squidward being tortured in some way, shape, or form. Squidward then wakes up and is really happy because he thinks that all of that was just a dream. But then when SpongeBob comes on screen, Squidward screams in agony with horror music playing in the background. Then we get more of Squidward looking around with horror music in the background. Seriously, is anyone else thinking this is getting pretty repetitive? Squidward finds his vacuum and tries pulling it out, only to get hit in the face with it, because, Squidward being tortured is completely hilarious, right? Squidward gets the vacuum cleaner stuck inside his mouth, and despite the fact that this is pretty much squid torture, this is actually the best thing in the episode. He just looks so dank like that. I really hope someone makes this a dank meme. Squidward falls down the stairs because of comedy and starts talking to his vacuum cleaner. Okay. Squidward gets outside and realizes that his entire house burned down because of the casserole that was in his oven. And then there's this really weird, disturbing scene where Squidward makes this face of nightmares while having tea with his vacuum cleaner and then twitching while laughing. And then he faints. This is a really uncomfortable scene for a SpongeBob episode. It's not funny. I don't see how someone could find it funny. And it's just off-putting and jarring. I don't like it. So that was Squid's visit. I think I already made most of my points clear in the review, so I'll just give a quick conclusion. This episode is creepy, uncomfortable, claustrophobic. SpongeBob's character is pretty much ruined. Squidward gets a lot of torture. There's a lot of filler. This episode is overall a mess and feels more like a creepypasta than a SpongeBob episode. But with that being said, tell me your opinion on it in the comments. Kirby out.